on everything. Got it. Over here. Okay. Okay, cool. Good morning, everyone. How are y'all? Good morning. Cool. And then my co-host Shanna, Jack's got him and his sister were wrestling last night, and she put a hurting on him, and they had to go to the doctor this morning. So, yeah, so I'm definitely flying solo today. Let me make sure this is on. Okay, great. Okay, so skip through all of this. So just like in normal fashion, first we're gonna start off with an announcement. We have our Thanksgiving potluck this Thursday. If you have not signed up, please do. Nicole has a Google form. The Market Center will provide the meat, and then we just ask that all of our agents provide a side. We'll be down here in the training center. And last year it was packed. So we had all of these set up family style. So we hope that you all can join us again. And that will be 11 to 1 down here in the training center. And then now, while we get started, this is not working. Welcome. It's our favorite part. So we're gonna spend a minute to say hi to two people you don't know.
Well, I don't know you. Hi. I'm Brad. I attended Rule
I just like talking about trees. Okay, everyone.
How are you doing?
Several years, and so now it's like, okay, where we're gonna tell you. Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Okay, awesome. So I'm seeing some faces in here that I'm happy to see. It's been a while. So just like every week, let's go through our vendor guide. So we'll start working our way through here. We'll start with Derek Cheney, if you want to kick us off.
All right, Derek Cheney, homeown expert of Mid-Missouri Bank. Just conveniently located right across the parking lot here. So here for all your lending needs and questions. How many locations? 13 locations across Southwest Missouri.
Awesome. Anton.
Anton with Community Mortgage Brokers. Side note, today inflation reports came out really well. So if you want to reach out to your local lenders, reprise those pre-approvals because they will look so much better today.
Good. No, missing. Yep. Thanks, Jess. Yep. Perfect.
Jess Bowman Insurance Group. We're here to help you guys and your clients with any and all insurance needs, and we're just happy to be part of the team.
Great American.
Thank you. Cindy with Great American Title. I don't know where the other cat girl is, but she's coming. I just want to say thank you. And we have 16 locations throughout the Ozarks. Big transactions, small transactions, vacant transactions, got you. Call me and let me help. Thank you.
Awesome. Did I miss anybody else in the room? Nicole, who's online for us to know? I think Jeff from Bear.
Jeff is online. Yep.
Awesome. Jeff, do you want to mute yourself really quick and introduce yourself?
Good morning. Enjoyed meeting several of you at the Greater Heartland Summit. And just as a reminder, we are a broker, so there's some out-of-the-box financing for today's market. So would love to talk to you about what we can do to get more buyers off the sideline and into the real estate game.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, so today we have our MVBP, and today is B, which is our beliefs. Funny enough, yesterday we had our 2024 goal planning meeting for the leadership team, and each of us went through and discussed what we believe the Y4C2Ts meant to not only us as leaders within the Market Center, but how we need to show up within our team. And so if you have a team, this is a great sheet to go through and work and say, okay, what does win-win or no deal look like to you? What does commitment in all things? What is results through people, which which is the hardest on some of them, because when you get into a leadership role, you can't always be the doer, right? So you have the leverage on your team, and so how do you have results through people? So this is a really great sheet to work through on your team as you're going through your advance. So last week for our culture winner, it was Nick Coalfield. Do you want to read or do you want me to read it?
Go ahead.
Okay, great. Let me pull this up. So Nick said, last week I had the honor of winning the Ron Steffes Culture Award. Although I never had a chance to meet Ron, I did get to hear from other agents in the building about the impact he made on so many lives. Very true. Hearing these stories about how he carried himself only made this award all the more special. Today, I look back at all the people who invested in me as a new agent and struggle to decide who should carry the award next. Keller Williams has an incredible culture of success and abundance that I truly believe each person in this building wants everyone around them to succeed. After a great deal of thought, I chose someone who made it clear that she believed in me as a new agent. She has achieved great success in her business, yet has always had the time and energy to give part of herself to those around her. It is a privilege to be the first to congratulate Amy Malia Coppitz for being this week's Ron Steffes Culture Award.
She's sick this morning.
Oh, so you know what that means, y'all.
Yeah.
So get out your phones. We're gonna send Amy a message. So Amy's phone number is 417-380-1354. 417-380-1354. So make sure you send Amy a congratulations message, and thank you, Nick, for passing that along. So Amy will get the amazing traveling Ron Steffes Award and the Army Men as well. Broker moment, Jim Bolin, what do you have for us? We're good.
Yeah, I mean, don't talk to the news media about the ongoing cases because they are still ongoing, but other than that, we did have one agent reach out to me, they were interviewed about something else. And so he wanted to make clear if he saw me on, if I saw him on KY3, that he wasn't talking about.
You would immediately just call and say, what the heck are you doing?
Told me ahead of time.
Cool. So with the NAR lawsuit, just to reiterate, it is still an active ongoing case. So if you are reached out to by any sort of media, please decline that you are going to have any sort of statement at this time, since it is actively ongoing. And then for that, I had another train of thought and I forgot. Oh, make sure you're educated on what is happening in the lawsuit. I've heard a couple of conversations from other agents in the area that they are telling different things to their clients about the lawsuit that's not even relevant. So for instance, one agent said, I'm sorry, I can't discuss my commission with you anymore because of the lawsuit. So that agent did not get an agency agreement with the client, and the client ended up going to somebody else. So if you don't know what the lawsuit is about, please, thank you all for the reaction. It makes me think that y'all know what's going on. So that's great. If you don't know what's going on, come see me or someone on leadership, and we'd love to talk with you about it so you can feel better educated around it. And Mike was at NAR, or he currently is at NAR, and he had sent a couple of things and put it in the Facebook group yesterday, a couple talking points. The biggest thing is make sure your agents or your clients know that they have a choice in the commission, a choice to work with you as the agent. And it's not, this is how it goes. They do have a choice in that conversation. So he had a few talking points. Yes, Jim?
Well, you know, the thing is that, I mean, who doesn't present it to their clients that way? You know, I mean, it's not, they don't have to work with you. They know that already typically. And it used to be they'd interview 3 or 4, but we know what the NAR statistics are. 73% of the time, the first agent in gets a listing. That's fine. But you know, who goes in and says, you've got to pay me X? I don't know anybody does that. We may have a discussion about commission, but we don't say you have to. This is the rule, you know, that came down from the NAR gods long ago, and we have to stay with this. I really don't understand that part of it. And I know our agents aren't presenting it that way.
Thank you. So training calendar, today we have contracts class with Jim Bolin, so perfect. 1 o'clock, packed house today. Then we have some tech classes tomorrow with Nicole and Dan Turkel. Thanksgiving potluck. This Thursday will be our next admin mastermind. So for any of you that have admins, please send them, or if you want to join as a rainmaker, please do. And then next week, the Market Center will be closed for Thanksgiving Day and Black Friday, just to keep that in mind. And then we do have another a seller's contracts class on the 29th of this month as well. So we'll go next into, so here's.
Hello, Springfield. My name is Kaylin Hubbard, and I am super excited to be bringing a class to the Springfield area on November 28th. And the name of that class is called the Entrepreneurage Code. Entrepreneurage, yeah, different word. Here's the deal. If you're an entrepreneur, if you're a small business owner, if you're running the show and you've got the ups and downs of a market and you've got fluctuating income and fluctuating time, constraints and all these things that go into running a business, that's going to affect your marriage very differently. All right. You have to have a different type of marriage. You have to attack marriage differently than a lot of other marriages out there. That's what this class is going to dig into. We're going to dive into that, and we're going to talk about the challenges of running a business and being an amazing partner outside of that. So be there November 28th. Can't wait to be there with you guys. It's going to be a great class. So hope to see you there. Bye.
So Kalen will be here November 28th. He'll also be here at team meeting. Here is the flyer, 1 o'clock down here in the training center. Nicole does have a sign up form. So if you want to come, if you want to bring your spouse, or if you know any other agents that would like to join, please let us know. We'll get them signed up. This class is free for any agents to attend, or if you're a significant other. And so this is wonderful Mike. So upstairs in the training command center, he has transformed it into a wonderful Christmas backdrop. So if you would like to use that for a client event, feel free to talk to Jimena at the front desk. Cassie brought her wonderful bench there for you to use. And if you want a jacket like Mike's, you can just go to Kohl's. He uses Kohl's cash for it. So proud of it. Yeah, he's very, very proud of it. Okay, so next one is our holiday party, December 2nd. We will be at the Old Glass Place again. Please get RSVP'd for that. 6 o'clock. Nicole, is there anything else we need to know about our holiday party?
Nope, just you can register yourself and a guest. So you and a guest get to attend. Dinner is provided. We have a DJ, and our theme is Winter Wonderland this year.
We're changing it up a little bit. We actually are bringing in a photo booth instead of a photographer. So trying to change things up a little. Next thing, we are in our winter of renewal for team meeting. Mike has worked really hard on figuring out the schedule. So today is our Heartland Summit, Greater Heartland Summit recap, and we have a panel. No team meeting next week. Then we have Kaylin Hubbard. Mike is having Andrew Anderson come speak. Then we're going to talk about vision for 2024, ugly Christmas sweater, and then right into Christmas and the new year. So today is November 14th. So tomorrow technically marks 2024. So as we're planning for 2024, tomorrow is day 1. We're at 45 days out. So as we're going into it, by January 1, you already should have 15% of your business already working or under contract at that point. It's a weird thought, and it's kind of a hard thought, as normally you start November or January 1 at the beginning of the year. But if we're taking 45 days for contracts, November 15th is 2024. So Happy New Year. Board dues, just so you all know, our yearly board dues are coming up. If you want to set money aside out of your closings, you can do that. Just talk to Landon on how you can put that in your commission. We do have a family reunion account. You can put that away and we'll distribute it to you at the end of the year. The other thing to think about in 2024, it is a CE renewal year. So we have that to look forward to as well coming up. Brokers, June 30th, salesperson, September 30th. So make sure you keep those deadlines ahead. 2024 is going to be the year. And I believe they're changing up the mandatory one this year. I believe it's a fair housing is something instead of like a code of ethics within it. That's the mandatory one. So we'll get more information coming out on that. Exciting announcement. I don't know if this will So we didn't get the updated video. However, it was announced Tony Robbins will also be in Vegas at Family Reunion. So Mike had, of course, had to make the joke. Well, we have Mel Robbins, we have Tony Robbins, and hopefully Baskin Robbins will also be there. So I have to make sure I share his joke since he's not here. So feel free to get signed up. Ticket prices, I believe, are increasing today. I think it goes to $7.99 from $6.99. But this is a once in a lifetime opportunity to see Tony Robbins in a smaller kind of environment compared to maybe one of his own big conferences itself. 14,000 people in one spot isn't really small. However, it is with Keller Williams people. So here's the QR code link to sign up as well for that. So Jason Abrams, we're gonna skip through that. You're looking for a new podcast. Gary has the Think Like a CEO. Jason Abrams has just launched the MREA podcast. This last week's episode was with Kimber Mankitty. If you don't know her, she's out of KW Capital Properties, which is in DC area. She's also part of the Empire Builder podcast. She's in the circle with Wendy Papasan. So it's a great podcast to be a part of. Gary was on it last week talking about culture and kind of also the hustle culture that he talked about at Mega Camp as well. Nicole, what do you have for us for Tech Time?
Hi, good morning. Okay, so one thing that I do want to mention, that I have a slide after this, you can now merge contacts in Command. So that was released last week. You can merge duplicate contacts together. If you have more questions on that, let me know. There's plenty of videos I can send over to you to get that started. If you want to click to the next slide. Something that came out last week, 2 weeks ago, Follow Up Boss was acquired by Zillow. So if that is the current CRM you are using and you don't want Zillow to have access to it, then please let me know. I have a whole one pager basically that tells you basically what in Follow Up Boss means in Command, how to export your database, how to put it into Command if you want to use that. So please reach out to me. I can send this over to you. It's got links and everything in it. But just so you know, that was on November 1st. So just make sure that if you are utilizing it, it is now owned by Zillow. But happy to help you get switched over if you need to.
Awesome. Thank you, Nicole. So how's the market? So Mike puts these stats out every week. Last week, we were at 27 homes went pending in 1 day or less. This week, we were at 46 homes pending in 1 day or less. Looking at the counties, last week, we are at 387 new listings in SOMO. This week, it was 371, so it dropped a little bit. The board was 240 last week. GSBR this week was 226. East County stayed about the same, and North County's dropped by 10 as well. 227 closings last week. This week, 165. So his fancy arrows that normally pop up, there we go, comparing all the numbers. Last year at this point, 195 new listings, 131 new contracts, and 119 closings on that as well. Here's the active listings. So we crossed right over at the 1600 mark this week. Last week was 1583. This week is 1609. This is the first time we have hit this since, I'm trying to see when we were at 1609. COVID year was a little funky, but it looks like in 2019, we were maybe around 1800. So we're creeping right back up there into 2019 numbers as well. So as he's comparing all of these through. GSBR Weekly, you get this every week in your email, the holiday party. So tickets are limited for the GSBR holiday party if you're planning on attending. This is the wonderful party that Mike will be getting installed as president. So we would love to have a big KW presence there. So if you haven't got your ticket, please try to do that today or else they will be running out. Okay, so this week, Greater Heartland Summit, AHAs and recaps. I have a couple of people I know that are going to be on this panel. Sheila, right? Elise, yes. Do y'all want to come up here? Yeah. In these wonderful seats. I think my other two people aren't down here, so we'll just improvise. Anybody else at the summit that want to come share ahas on the slide?
Harry was there.
Harry, if you want to be a part of it, you can. You don't have to.
Paulina. She ran me over with the bus. It's just so
Fine. Hi. How are you? Good.
I just must have wanted you there.
I brought my notes. No, Bethany, Elise Riley was not supposed to be there. No worries. She's not in trouble. Bethany asked to.
Wrongly.
Wrongly.
The other Elise.
Yep. So a couple of weeks ago, we had our first ever Greater Heartland Summit. And this featured top agents across our entire region, from individual agents to large teams and expansion agents. We talked about wealth building. And it's really exciting. It's in Branson, so close drive. And next year we'll also be in Branson again. So these amazing ladies were there. So let's kind of talk about the summit. What was your first thoughts around the summit, and what was your biggest aha?
So I was really glad that they brought something so close to home, because we have such a large consolidation of agents in our area, and to bring something like Mega Camp closer to where maybe people who wouldn't make the trip to Austin or wherever could come. So that was something I thought was amazing. And then my biggest aha is one, how incredibly blessed we are that there's so many amazing people that are willing to pour in and lift us up and help our businesses succeed. So I know that that's an aha I have a lot, but it was just so good to be amongst that.
And Sheila, you had a pretty impactful Heartland Summit. Tell us what happened to you.
So I found it very inspiring, just there were so many different ahas and I was like, oh crap, what to take away from it. You know, I loved how, you know, it was more like in the past, you see stuff focused on the big teams and stuff. And this was more individual agents where they interviewed them. And like, there was one lady from Joplin that just got her license a couple of years ago and she's just absolutely killing it. Yes, Cassie, yeah, I have her name wrote down.
She was on our bowl team.
Yeah, oh,
We can
okay.
introduce you anytime.
And, you know, and there was just so many things and I kept on coming back to like what you focus on expands. And even as you're an individual agent, we still have such a great team around us. That's what was very impactful to me was that, you know, as an individual agent that, you know, we see comparisons like with like Mega Camp, you get numbers from other places and it's big teams. And here you focused on numbers that are realistic for our area.
Right.
And, you know, production numbers and like they said, units matter. You know, the price is not so much, but units matter, taking your market share. But there was just how much we have support we have around us. And that, you know, if you dig into it, you utilize it, it helps you grow and that growth matters.
I'm gonna brag on Sheila. So I was watching an Instagram reel, so you know it's everything you see on Instagram is true. Well, they gave me some statistics. So they said if you commit to something in your brain that you're gonna do it, there's a 1% chance likelihood that you will achieve it. If you tell somebody that, hey, I have this goal, you have a 65% chance to accomplish it. If you tell somebody and you write something on your calendar to say, here's my first action step, and by this is when I'm gonna start it, you have a 90% chance of accomplishing it. So Sheila came up to us and she said, you know, I'm doing a bold 100. And so she got up on the microphone and she told everybody of 300 people in the room that she was going to do a bold 100 in 2 days. And I'll let her share her results, but I had multiple OPs from other market centers say, when we have our call on Monday, you better tell us that she hit it. And so the accountability was real.
So I talked to 105 people. I left over 70 other messages. I got 2 referrals and 3 upcoming clients that are going to be doing business in the next year.
That's amazing.
My purpose for doing it is I'm doing a client event. And so I was behind on getting those calls done. So I was motivated and I'm like, all right, you know, I'm going to do this. So, yeah.
And what I loved about it is her calls weren't necessarily cold calling. When we talk about a bold 100, a lot of people think it's cold calling, it's the not fun stuff. You were just calling people you know and to invite them to an event.
So I will say it was difficult. The next day my throat hurt. And I talk a lot anyway, so that's, you know.
It's kind of surprising.
But the first time I attempted one, I will say attempted, and I wasn't really committed. I talked to like 70 people and it was like, I did bold. I got my license August 1st. I hadn't even received that. You guys hadn't even received it when I joined Keller Williams 5.5 years ago, and bold started like 2 days later and I hadn't received it in the mail, and I joined up and it was very uncomfortable, very difficult because I didn't have, all I had was my spear. I didn't have past clients. So as you are in the business longer, it was so much easier. It was way easier than I expected it to be. And, you know, the people actually were, you know, excited to hear from me. And I'm like, oh, listen.
Yeah, it's encouraging.
Yes, very encouraging, where I didn't feel like I was just calling and hitting them up for business. I was, you know, calling with the purpose and, you know, giving back to them.
Yeah.
So, you know, coming, you know, the gratitude, you know.
It's kind of like whenever we had to do calls on bold, and they said they're home, they're happy, and they want to talk to me, right? It's that same story that you were telling yourself and it played out. It's awesome.
Mindset matters.
Yep. Elise.
So, I really enjoyed the very first part of the summit with, Smokey and
David.
David, yes.
Smokey is our regional operating partner, and David is our regional director, and they gave a market update at the very beginning.
And here's the thing for me is I'm not a big numbers person. I struggle with numbers. I struggle putting time and energy into the numbers, and they really made it simple and easy for us to understand. And the first question I asked was, who you, or the statement, who you're in business with really matters right now. And that's super, super true, especially with everything that's going on with these lawsuits. And the week of the summit was the week that the jury made their decision.
The day
and
after.
The
was
day,
right.
day after,
Or
day
the
before,
day of, yeah.
something like that. And what it was impressive to me and confirmed me that I'm in the right place is that our leadership stood up there and said, we don't know what the future is gonna look like after this all plays out. And it could be years before all this plays out. We don't know what's gonna happen. We have a way to pivot. We have ideas that we can pivot on a dime if we have to. We have your back is basically what they're saying. And I think that that's super important to understand that not just on a local level, that Keller Williams has our best interest in mind, but it's on an international level that they have our best interest in mind. I would not want to be at one of these boutique brokerages that has popped up, or indie brokerages that has popped up in the last 3 to 5 years, because what are they gonna do? What if, you know, I don't know anything about the process with the lawsuits, but I'm sure that there'll be an appeal, probably. That's would seem logical. And what if the appeal is lost? And then what? And then what? And then what? And then the way we are doing business has to change. I mean, it has to change anyway. What we say has to change, but the fundamental way we do business has to change. I feel like Keller Williams, KWRI has our backs and will have a plan for us, and that they're talking about that plan and have been talking about what happens in this scenario and this scenario and this scenario. And to me, that's reassuring to know that I'm not just left out there to fend for myself.
Yeah,
And-
it's really reassuring for them to say we could either be on the offensive or the defensive.
Mhm.
And if we're proactively doing the things we need to do now, we're gonna be ahead of anything that comes up.
Correct.
And so instead of trying to be behind and playing the victim, let's get ahead of it, go on the offense and make our own plan and forge our own path to change instead of waiting for somebody to force that change on us.
And I think a lot of that rings true. It's just lawsuit aside, but like a shift in the market.
Yeah.
How long
Yeah.
have we been talking about a shift happening and things are gonna be changing? And now's the time to double down on your activities. And if you focus on the units, this is where you can go and take market share and the opportunity around that. That's been a conversation 1.5 years now, to a point that we are prepared, right? We've seen it happen. We're working through it and we're navigating that. And it's been a conversation.
And that's what he says, that there's 3 shifts, the market shift, industry shift, and the consumer shift, and that there's a plan for each one of those shifts. And just listen, keep your ears open and listen and trust and have faith that it's all gonna be okay.
Well, and
because I really
show
think
up
it
and
will.
listen to the trainings, be engaged, be here. I mean, the fact that there's so many people in this room right now means you're showing up for your business, but there's a lot of people who don't show up and they're not tuned in, and so they're lagging behind because of their lack of getting dialed in and getting involved. So if you see your agent friends out there, get them to team meeting, get them to some of these trainings, get them to some of these educations, because they're gonna be lagging behind and they're gonna be hurting. They're not gonna know what to say when people come up and ask the questions of them. They're not gonna know what to say when their client, you know, what you said earlier, that somebody said, well, I can't talk about my commission. Guys, that's gonna be said out there 100 billion times. So getting all of the KW agents here and making sure that they're the most educated should be all of our goals.
One thing that I took away was, you know, let's see, was it 2021 had like 6.2 million units, 5.1 the
Yeah, I got
next
it right
year. This
Mhm.
year will be
4.3 million.
4.3 million. He said that's if we're lucky. However, they had us break it down and how many units and whatever and what our goals are. Like, I only need to take 1/3 of a percent, 0.003% of market share to hit my goals. That's what we don't realize. There's still so much business out there. And when you go on that listing appointment, if you're on that listing appointment, you've got a 70-80% chance of getting it. So if you just get in that door, the battle is almost won for you.
And that's why KW has the shirt, it's a contact sport, right? Because it's not just, pounding the pavement, it's
Right.
also having the phone conversations with the people and getting face to face with them as quick as possible.
A couple other things real quick that I took away was how do I win for the future? So how do you win in your business for the future, or even in your life? How do you win for the future? How do I reset my goals? What is my value? What is my value proposition for this time in real estate? And then there was a couple of, do I want to participate in the industry long-term or short-term? If long-term, then what is the opportunity that I have? What does the future look like, and how can I reimagine my business? If you guys aren't asking yourselves those questions on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, then you're losing, you're failing. Gary Keller has always said that most agents are failing so slowly they think they're succeeding.
One thing they said over and over and over that I really appreciated, they said, when they asked, how do you do this? Like these high producing agents, and they said, it's hard. They kept on saying, it is hard. It's hard.
It's
And
simple,
one
not
thing,
easy.
one of the ahas, and she just said it, was when they asked, do you want to be in the business for the next couple of years, or do you want to be in long term? And that really hit home to me, because when I got my license, we've been dabbling in investing, and I kind of just got my license to do that and, to help, my immediate sphere. I was thinking my husband's going to retire in X amount of years, and I'll do this till then, and then I'll be completely done. And last year, when I decided, okay, I got rid of my health issues, I wanted to make a go of it. I'm like, I'm not gonna retire when he retires. And it's that mindset where, I'm gonna more than double my best year yet this year. And, people are scared that we don't have as much volume, we're 4 million versus 6 million. What you focus on expands. If you put out the effort, there's so many agents that have that negative mindset. Oh, well, it's gonna be harder to do business. Oh, the interest rates are up. People aren't gonna wanna buy. There's always people looking to buy and sell. You just have to make contact with them and meet them.
And the people that are looking to buy or sell may not be, oh, a new house sounds fun right now, but there are still the 7 Ds that we're gonna work through. And that's the hard part about it, is people are still gonna go through deaths. People are still gonna go through divorces. They're gonna downsize. They're gonna go through all those different things that real estate's still gonna happen. And it's a matter of what is your niche and what is your game plan in order to be a part of those conversations.
And I'm gonna say something that you guys are probably gonna think is really negative, but in the last, from the 2020 to the end of 2022, when the market really started shifting, that time period, there were people buying homes that shouldn't have bought homes. There were people who could afford the house, but they can't afford the house. And so that has stopped. So the people who can afford the house now can afford the house payment now can afford the house. And those are the kind of people that you really want as clients, because those people are going to upsize again. And then they're going to upsize again, potentially. And then they're going to downsize. And those are the people who are going to have the 780 credit scores and the 20% down, or maybe even a cash buyer in the long run. And those are your core clients. That's your foundation client. Everything else at that point is just cherry on top. So look for the ones who can afford to buy now, because they will stay with you. If you treat them right and you deliver higher expertise or a higher customer experience and have great expertise, then they will stay with you. It's not, you're not an order taker now, right? During the recession, or not the recession, what were we in? Pandemic and the couple of years after that, we were order takers.
How did you forget?
Would you like, right? Well, because I try to block that time period. It's like, do you want fries with that? We're not order takers, you guys, not anymore. You have to have a skill. You have to be able to anticipate their needs and what they're going to say and be able to walk them through it. So hone your skill. Stop being an order taker.
One of the things that I love to see this year was that they had a mompreneurs panel. And we talk about it being hard, and it's more of, you get to choose your type of hard. And if it's building your business, like, you get to build this big legacy within your family and have the opportunity to do that. And we were fortunate enough that we had 3 or 4 of our agents had the opportunity to speak on these panels. Was there anything from maybe that panel or any other panels specifically that you took away from?
Well, that panel, if you're a mom, you're already juggling so many things. Forget adding real estate to that. Real estate, we're juggling an additional set of things, and to just hear those ladies talk about how they've made like lines in the sand. I won't go past this. This is my cutoff time so that I can be present with my kids, or communicating that to clients and setting those expectations up front, or never breaking those promises. If you make them, don't break them. And so I think that was really, you know, positive to hear, because as a mom, we all are like, oh gosh, I'm doing such a terrible job. It's the first thing that you say to yourself, and you have that mom guilt versus, you know, listening to other moms who have owned their schedule and have protected their time and have time blocked for the most important people in their life, and not necessarily taking away guilt that you're doing that.
One of the things I loved was when they were on the phone and the kids were in the car and someone was calling and they said, actually, I'm with a client right now.
My most important clients
Yeah,
right now.
I'm with my most important clients right now. Can I call you back later? And whenever she got off the phone, the kids were like, we're not your clients, mom. And they go, looking back, they're like, that made us feel so important. Because when we were in the car with you, we had that time and you made us feel very important.
One thing I really, really loved was don't break the promises you make to yourselves. That was just very.
Jordan Freed said that.
Jordan Freed
Yeah.
said that, and if you miss Jordan Freed, I mean, he will spank you with a smile and you don't even know you got spanked. And then you walk out of there going, ouch. I heard you, thank you for getting on to me, thank you for resetting my focus. And it was that question.
Not to break that promise to yourself, you think about it, it erodes your self-confidence. And who are we the most likely to bail on? Ourselves. We give up our time, we give up, you know, we're like, we're gonna do something for ourselves, and we give that up first before we would give it up for our
Yeah,
client
he said
or
if
our
you break the
parents,
promises to
our
your,
kids, you know, whoever's
Yeah.
important to us, we always put ourselves last. And so that was something that was very.
well, he said if you break the promises to yourselves, you erode the trust with the number one person that you're your biggest support system. So the more you break the promises to yourself, the more you continuously erode that trust. So then how can anyone else have faith or trust in you if you don't trust yourself? Ouch, that's tough.
About the mompreneur panel, couple takeaways for me on that is that, well, Denise knows, when I first started in real estate, my kids were, I don't know, it was 2015, so they were 11 and 11 minus 3, 8, something like that. It's been a lot.
Numbers.
And my 11-year-old at that time had just started playing club baseball, and he said, I guess, Mom, with your new job, you won't be able to make it to my games. And I looked him in the face and said, I will not miss a game. And I have not missed a game, whether it's local or travel, since I started in 2015. And that even goes for my youngest, who also, we did travel hockey, and he's done 2 years of travel hockey and all the things. So I just worked with Rachel, last week, and we sat down and said, okay, what are the 3 to 5 lead generation sources that you want to, or levers you want to use for next year? And I said, I want to do open houses, but it's not going to be Sunday 2 to 4, because I cannot always guarantee Sunday 2 to 4. And she said, it doesn't matter. Let's talk to this person, and this person about you partnering with them to hold their new construction homes open. And maybe it's a drive time open house on Tuesdays from 5 to 7. So as I looked, and as I went through my schedule and the kids' sports schedule for January, February, and March, I've got the open houses already planned. I've got all my activities already planned. So it is about owning the schedule and making the business work for the season of life you're in right now, in which I am in a lifestyle real estate agent season, not a big business builder season, just because I have 3 years left with my kid. My youngest will be gone in 3 years. And so I want to be there for him, even when he's driving and doesn't need me to pick him up and take him places. So I think that if you are struggling with that, come sit down with me or sit down with Rachel. We'll both meet with you and we'll work your schedule for you. Because as our company says, it's God family business, not business,
And
family God.
And I'm thinking about how for the mom panel and stuff, you know, you have to take the time to get groceries. You don't have a choice. And my daughter moved out this last fall. Been really, really eye-opening, because the fact that I'm no longer thinking of her needs first. So I'm like, there is nothing in my refrigerator. I'm like, all these things that I did prioritize the time that it took or whatever, I'm no longer doing those.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh God.
Yeah, and that's the
This
thing
frees
is,
up my time, but yet at the same time, it was.
Took away your purpose too.
Yeah, and now at the same time, I'm like, dang it. I'm like, I need food.
Yeah. One of the panels that I really enjoyed, was one of the panels Carrie Worsh was on.
Yeah,
And
that
it
was
went
the other
through and they talked about, they knew their exact numbers. So every person on that panel could go through and they could list what their past client percentage was. So some of them were 80%, 60%, 71%, 80%, and they could go through and dial every single one of their numbers. And so that's my question, even if you are not a numbers person, the math always maths in some sort of way, right? And if you're wanting to get X amount, you have to work it backwards so you know what that looks like. And so knowing your numbers, Carrie could say, oh yes, our past client is X amount, but sign calls is our number one, our number two.
60.
60%.
Leads.
60% was their past and 40% was their sign
Sign
calls.
calls.
Cause everybody else, their sign calls was way down.
Mhm.
And I just found that very
Yeah.
insightful, but everywhere you look, you see Grady's signs.
Right,
And
so-
he has personalized
Yep.
signs. And
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
I was gonna say, yeah, that, you know, when I got in business, I had signs made that are personalized for my open houses, for my directionals, all that. And I have gotten quite a few sign calls and I have dual agent, did multiple listings. I think I'm working on number 4 this year, from sign calls.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So-
It's knowing the numbers, right?
Right.
And you can dial in, so that way, when you're spending money on lead generation or you're going through your activities, you know what is the most like return on your investment. And so from that, if you know past clients, great, then we're gonna really dive into quarterly calls, events, maybe micro events, really making those clients for life. If we know it's next is going to be sign calls, great, what is that cohesiveness or brand awareness are we creating within our own brand? But then if it's open houses, awesome, how are you dialing into your open houses and what could you do to maybe capture it? Maybe you're not at that level 7 open house like in Shift. So you're able just to tweak, but at least you have an awareness around it. And that was my biggest thing.
So I was actually gonna mention the Grady's sign calls at being at 40%. You guys, that's a huge number. That's a huge percentage of business coming from sign calls. And I sat back and I reflected. I was like, okay, well, how do they get so many sign calls? Well, their name is on their sign. So I've started looking into purchasing personalized directionals and open house signs. So I'm going to do that because the open houses is one of my lead generation levers for 2024. But that's a hot lead, you guys. I mean, if somebody calls you from your sign call, that's not just a warm lead, that's not a cold lead, that's not, oh, maybe I met you in the grocery store, I may want to buy, or that's even the next better than a Facebook lead. So I would encourage everybody to go to Oakley Signs or some of these preferred vendors for KW that we get emails from. They always have directionals on discount, on sale, and they know. There's no guessing. They know what we have to have for compliance on those signs. So just do it and.
Or if you have a question, reach out.
Yeah, or reach out, but I mean, it's easy and it's something, another little thing that we can do when we talk about taking market share, putting our sign with our name out there. It'll say Keller Williams. They'll know if it's red, they'll know it, identify that with Keller Williams. So it's just another little thing during this last shift that we're experiencing that will help grad.
And I'm noticing this week, I've had 2 sign calls. That's a lot for, an individual agent to
Yeah.
get 2 sign calls, so.
Yeah, I also think it's really important that if you don't know your numbers, then you don't know where to put your focus.
Right.
If you don't know where your 80% is coming from and what that is, then how are you formulating a plan? You're not, you're just going through it just haphazardly. If you don't know your numbers, you cannot have a productive plan. You can have a plan, but you will not get the value out of it that you need.
Yes, Jim.
Well, on the open house signs, if you're gonna buy them, and personalize them, buy durable.
Absolutely.
Correct.
I've had mine for 13 years that I bought going in on Keller Williams. It's, it says Jim Bolin or whatever it says on it, I don't even know, but it's durable and I've got the ones that flop out, you just set them down. If you get these little flimsy Duraplex things, you'll spend as much money in the long term, dogs will pee on them, cars will run over them.
Stolen.
So this-
Hey, I had a tractor run over one of my A-frame ones.
Agents will steal them.
Yeah.
They'll grab them up So they won't take those other ones because they weigh 10 pounds apiece or something, and they don't blow over in the wind. You can put them out 2 or 3 days early, but you're better off investing up front on that. And they're just a better sign.
And one of the reoccurring themes, thank you for sharing that, Jim, through this was, let's talk about business, but let's also talk about gratitude. And that was a major theme within Jordan Freed and with Sam Goodwin. So Jordan Freed had everybody write down at the beginning of his keynote, what are your top 10 moments for 2023? And I had to actually use my camera roll to help me remember everything as I was going through. But the reason why is he said, normally when we talk about going into the next year, we're always focusing on the things that we didn't accomplish or the things we fell short of, and we're our own worst critic. But first, before we go into 2024, we're first going to realize everything that we accomplished.
Your highlight reel.
Yeah, you're gonna create your own highlight reel. So then it gives you momentum of saying, wow, look at everything that I actually did. And maybe I forgot that I actually accomplished. And what can I do going into 2024 within it? And then when Sam Goodwin, if you don't know who Sam Goodwin is, he was actually captured in Syria. He's from St. Louis, and I think he's the only person that they've ever released from
That
capture.
Syria has ever released, the only
Civilian.
hostage.
And so,
Civilian hostage.
I think he said civilian, yeah, I
Yeah.
think he said civilian. And so in it, it was more of what can you control and what can you not control?
Yeah.
And he went through his whole process of when he was being held captive of his thoughts. And it said, how do you embrace and manage uncertain times? And the first was leaning into gratitude. And he said, most people lack perspective. And that caught me when I was like, oh, how many times do we not give gratitude because we don't have that perspective of being locked in a 6x6 cell, not knowing when we're gonna ever get out or see our family
He
again.
said he was grateful that he woke up, that he wasn't being beat, that he,
Yep.
you know, that he could
He wasn't harmed
remember.
that whole time.
He
That
was
he-
not harmed.
That he
and
wasn't one of the people that he could hear
Screaming, yeah.
That he, you know,
Yeah.
and he said that even when they interrogated him for days, they never actually physically harmed him.
And the other part he said is take action and control on what you can control. So when we look at the world that we live in now, what can we control in our daily lives and what can we not control? And we have to focus on what you can. And what kind of gratitude do you have for that? He said we can't always choose the exact path we take, but we can choose the turns that we take along that. And I thought that was so powerful of like, you may have this goal, and Lisa Cox actually, she gave this wonderful quote the other night. She said, on the way to a moon, a rocket ship corrects over 2,000 times before it reaches its destination. And so when you think about something going this way and how many course corrects it goes, but you're still going there, it's the same way in your real estate journey or in your life. So it may be a one turn this way, but that's okay. It's the counterbalance, and how do we go back to get back on path? And the last thing he said is uncertainty means opportunity.
Yeah.
And that was so empowering of what can I control and how can I capitalize that and create opportunity for you and your business?
So Jordan Freed also says it's about the moments, and they have a moment jar. I don't know exactly what.
Awesomeness jar.
Awesomeness
Awesomeness
jar.
jar.
And
Yeah.
anytime they see something, like he may just walk in and see his kids playing or being really sweet to each other, he writes that down and puts a date on it and they put it in there. Whenever they're having maybe a bad day or what they need to reflect, he'll go and it's okay.
I got it.
He'll pull one out and remember, you know, that moment. So it's a highlight reel going on forever and ever, as long as you continue to write the moments in there. And I think that that's really empowering as well, because maybe having a bad day and then for the first time in several weeks, your kids aren't fighting and you write that down. Oh, my kids had a good day. They played together, or whatever,
Yep.
you know, or whatever, something, right? I woke up healthy.
Sake of time, give final thought. Everybody gets their final thought.
They're doing it again, right?
They are doing it again. And I believe I have a slide, but it'll be next October. Nope, that's the wrong one.
Well, if you missed it, don't miss the next one.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
I will tell you, not just Jordan Freed, but Sam Friedman,
Good one.
or Goodwin, were amazing, and just, if you missed it, don't miss the next one.
And it was very inspiring to see these agents that were local, numbers that could be attainable for us versus.
Wasn't $100 million in volume and they sold 10 units.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Unit numbers, and when they did have the teams on there, they actually broke it down on like how many ISAs and assistants and buyer's agents. So then you could work the numbers. You're like, okay, they did 210 units. Well, they have, you know, 10 people
10
on their
people.
team. That's 21 deals per person if you figure it out that way. And you're like, you were like, oh my goodness.
It was
You
so much
know,
more relatable.
It was
Right.
relatable, and it puts it in perspective, because we got some amazing rock stars in our market center. And I think a lot of us compare ourselves to them when we just need to be comparing ourselves to what we were, how far we've come.
Yeah.
So, and you put that in perspective, you're like, oh, I'm doing better than I thought.
It's a pat on the back, for sure.
Yeah.
Elise?
Spend the $250 to attend the summit and to attend Jordan Freed.
Oh, yes.
It was worth it.
It's worth it. And if you don't cry at Jordan Freed, then there's something wrong with you.
I don't know, Landon, we have our dance and yesterday he's like, I'm not crying this year, so. still
Landon,
try.
did you cry?
No, not this year.
Not this year.
Last
Wrong
year,
with you,
so.
Landon.
Okay, awesome, let's give our panelists a round of applause, thank you. So this was the flyer from this year. Once we get the dates for next year, we will definitely make sure to communicate it out. I believe our region will be doing a mastermind in April and then also the summit in October as well. So as we look forward, what are your action items? Mark your calendar, one for the next summit. Oh, there we go, October 27th through the 29th at Branson Landing. There you have it. But what are your action items? If we know what we can control and the things that we can't control, what are the things that you can do to move you forward towards your goals? Sam Goodwin also said PTG, which is post-traumatic growth. How to be uncomfortable while being uncomfortable and getting in those situations. I mean, for him, his story was just wild. He was able to communicate with some of the other inmates and send out his phone number that eventually got back to his parents all the way in St. Louis from Syria to let him know that he was still alive. Like the stars aligned for him to be able to see that. But he said, I wouldn't get anywhere if I didn't take control of my emotions. So removing the fear out of the situation and getting into action is really what the whole conversation of this is going to be. It's writing down your goals. It's taking that first step forward. It's telling somebody, hey, I'm committing to do this so they can help you achieve that goal as well. I mean, the moment Sheila said, hey, I'm doing a Bold 100, I was like, okay, great. What day? There is no try. How are we going to get there? And so that was really cool for her to be able to accomplish that. And so, with that being said, that concludes, oh, yes, Jim.
With the commission issue, I had a call from an agent the other day, said they were getting pushback on putting 3% in the commission part of the employment of broker by buyer. And I said, you know, what I've taken to doing, and it's just a suggestion to you, is I put BAF.
Okay.
Because that's the fee offered in the MLS. And I'm willing to take that because that's what's being offered. It may not be 4, 5, 6, 3, I don't care what it is. I'm just letting them know that that's what I'm going to take, is what that is. And now, if you're saying, no, you're gonna, if it's 2, you're gonna pay me 3, then you're gonna have to put 3 in that blank. Because it is a contract, or you're going, but I will tell you this, all the years in Keller Williams, we have never, and will never, in my opinion, sue some buyer for a fee. We've never done that. We never will. You know, that would be something you'd have to do individually. It's just an idea. Just look at it and see what you think, because you've got your blank for your admin fee or whatever you want to call that. But there is a commission fee and it's blank or percentage, and I just BAF. Because that's
What's that stand for?
buyer's agent fee. That's what's offered on the MLS. If you're functioning as a buyer's agent, what do you think you're going to get? So you're not putting a number in there. You're telling them, I'll take what's offered. So they're not forcing, you're not forcing them to pay, you know, this percentage that the courts have decided or is what it is. It's what's being offered to me.
Well, what if there's a listing where they're offering 0?
Then that's a different deal. You just have to have a discussion with them, you know, whether you're going
we
to
seen that yet,
negotiate
though?
that fee.
Have we seen 0 yet? Well, I've seen 0 in the past.
Well, on transaction
But-
brokers, I see 0 all the time, and I understand that completely.
I doubt anybody showed that house, but they offered 0 across.
Point is this, if you're doing your job for your client as a buyer's agent, you're gonna show what they need and want and desire. You're not gonna go, oh, holy crap, that's 2%. You know, we probably shouldn't see that. They got dog turds in the backyard or something. You know, you're going to show them what they actually have told you their wants, needs, and desires are. This is what it is, and this is what I can afford. And if you don't do that, then you're not doing your job as a fiduciary. So again, I think the BAF is something just to consider. Just look at it and see what you think. I just kind of wanted to put that out there because there's all this crap about the numbers. Well, if you don't put a number in there, you know, we know as a listing agent, you know, this is what I charge that's gonna be paid to the brokerage. I put that in there. My number is my number. But on the buyer side, we really, honest to God, never know what we're gonna get until we show the property and it's listed down there in the bottom in the cooperation agreement. So it's just a thought. I just wanted to leave you with that because somebody was talking about, you know, my buyer clients, is, you know, he's screaming about, you know, he's gonna have to pay an extra 3%. I'm like,
Does
"Eh,
command flag that? Are they gonna be like, what is that?
what do you can explain to them? It's a buyer's agent, say, look,
They're
there's
just
an
looking
MLS
for
detail
something in
sheet
that
right here at the bottom, it says
Yeah.
BAF. Yeah.
They're not looking for a specific number, as long as something's just entered into the blank, that's all they need for compliance.
But she says no.
Flag it?
They
She's talking
they
about
shouldn't flag it,
compliance.
because it's just looking
If they
for a.
do, just call Landon.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you, everybody. Thanksgiving potluck this Thursday. Make sure you get signed up. No team meeting next week because of Thanksgiving holiday, closed Thanksgiving holiday and Black Friday. So if I don't see you, I hope you all have an amazing Thanksgiving and hopefully see you Thursday. Okay, bye.
Thank you.